the single white rose I've brought. The San Diego sun beats down on my black dress, my own design, though no one around me would ever guess its true value. That dress looks so economical, Brianna whispers loudly enough for everyone to hear. I suppose it's the best you could do with that failing little shop of yours. My jaw clenches, but I keep my eyes on Mother's headstone. The polished granite reflects the October sky, a stark contrast to the darkness settling in my chest. Catherine. Ethan sidles next to me, his cologne announcing his presence before his voice does. If you need a loan to keep the boutique afloat, just ask. I've always said managing finances isn't for everyone. A memory flashes. Mother teaching 8-year-old me to sew, her gentle hands guiding mine along the fabric. They'll see your light someday, Katie, she had whispered. Just wait. The boutique was Martha's little hobby, my father announces to the small gathering of mourners. His voice carries the familiar dismissive tone he reserves exclusively for my achievements. Catherine insists on clinging to it, but we all know it's just sentimentality. Always was the family disappointment. My heart pounds against my ribs like a trapped bird. I swallow hard against the sting of tears I refuse to shed. Not here, not in front of them. Instead, I run my fingers along the hem of my dress, feeling the luxurious fabric I personally selected from an Italian mill that supplies only the most exclusive fashion houses. The dress that Brianna just mocked costs more than her monthly rent, all $25,000 of it. My own design, from my own label, worn by celebrities and royalty alike. Last spring, I had shown Mother my newest collection. Away from the family, in the privacy of my actual headquarters, she had beamed with quiet pride. You were always meant for greatness, Catherine, she had said, touching the fabrics with reverent fingers. For a decade I've maintained this facade. The struggling daughter with her mother's little shop, while secretly building a fashion empire under the name K. Morgan. The separation protected me from their manipulation, their constant attempts to claim credit for any success, their inevitable demands for money. But Mother is gone now. The one person who knew both sides of my life lies beneath fresh soil and unanswered questions. Perhaps the time for pretending has passed. I manage just fine, thank you, I tell Ethan, stepping away from his condescending offer. Father clears his throat, drawing attention like he's about to announce quarterly earnings. About the boutique property, I've already contacted a realtor. The location has excellent development potential, and the proceeds will benefit the whole family. Mother left the boutique to me, I say quietly. It's not for sale. Their laughter ripples through the cemetery, too loud for this sacred space, too dismissive for this moment of grief. Brianna's perfectly manicured hand pats my shoulder with theatrical sympathy. Oh, Catherine, always so sentimental about that little store. The way she says little store makes it sound like a child's lemonade stand. Dad knows what's best. The property is worth far more than whatever you're making selling homemade scarves. My father steps closer, towering over me with the practiced intimidation he's perfected over decades of business dealings. We'll discuss this tomorrow at my house. 2 o'clock. Don't be difficult, Catherine. The implicit threat is clear. They intend to take the one thing they think I have. The one connection to my mother they believe matters to me. What they don't know would fill libraries. Miss Morgan. Eleanor's voice cuts through the tension. She stands by the cemetery path, car keys in hand, her posture protective and professional. Your conference call is scheduled in 30 minutes. Brianna snorts delicately. Still keeping Mother's shop assistant around? How sweet. Though I imagine she works for tips at this point. Eleanor says nothing, her dignified silence preserving the secret that she's actually my executive vice president overseeing operations in 12 countries. Her salary would make Brianna choke on her imported champagne. My father frowns, checking his watch. Conference call? About thread inventory? His attempt at humor falls flat, even to his own ears. I should leave now. Follow Eleanor to the waiting car, prepare for the actual call with my Tokyo team about the new flagship store opening. Return to my real life. Instead, I make a decision. Eleanor, please reschedule the call. I meet her eyes meaningfully. I need you with me tonight. Eleanor's professional mask doesn't slip, but I catch the slight arch of her eyebrow surprise at my deviation from protocol. Of course, Miss Morgan. I'll take care of it. My family watches this exchange with varying degrees of confusion and dismissal. They see what they've always seen. Meek Catherine with her mother's part-time helper. Eleanor steps forward, her hand briefly squeezing mine in understanding as she comes to stand beside me. Tomorrow they'll learn what I've built. I say under my breath, words meant only for her ears. My family turns away, already discussing dinner plans, as if we hadn't just buried my mother. As if they hadn't just threatened to take what's mine. Their voices fade as they walk toward their expensive cars purchased with borrowed money and refinanced homes. I remain at the grave, one hand still holding the white rose, the other now clutching Eleanor's steady presence beside me. The weight of 10 years of secrets balances against the imminent revelation of truth. Mother knew this day would come. She prepared for it. And now, so will I. Later that evening, the San Diego harbor glitters under the setting sun as I stand at my penthouse window. The same waters stretch toward the cemetery where we buried Mother this morning, but from 40 floors up, grief feels different, more strategic than raw. Everything's organized as you requested, Eleanor says, placing several folders on my glass desk. Her silver hair catches the sunset's orange glow as she arranges them with military precision. I run my fingers along the embossed KM logo before opening the first one. Show me everything. Eleanor nods. All business now. Ethan first. He's under active SEC investigation for insider trading on the Westlake merger. Leveraged 300% beyond his assets. If convicted, 7 years minimum. The file contains bank statements, credit reports, and legal documents, a paper trail of my brother's collapse. How much does he need? I ask. $850,000 for the defense team capable of getting charges reduced to probation. I think of his condescending offer at the cemetery. A loan, as if I needed his help. Brianna next, Eleanor continues, opening a crimson folder. $9,500 monthly for the Beverly Hills rental. Credit cards maxed to their limits. Personal loans totaling $418,000. One missed payment away from eviction. The photographs show Brianna at charity galas, champagne in hand, draped in borrowed designer pieces, maintaining appearances while drowning in debt. And father? Eleanor hesitates, uncharacteristic for her. Richard's portfolio collapsed after the Meridian investment. Foreclosure notices on both coastal properties. He's been taking increasingly risky refinancing options. His financial advisor resigned last month. I take the thickest folder labeled Morgan Property Development and spread its contents across my desk. Land surveys, zoning applications, developer proposals. He's been plotting to sell the boutique property for years. I say, the betrayal fresh, despite my suspicions. 3 different developers over 5 years, Eleanor confirms. He accelerated efforts after your mother's diagnosis. My throat tightens, waiting for her to die. There's more. Eleanor slides over her tablet. Intercepted emails between your siblings from last week. I scroll through messages arranging how they would pressure me after the funeral. Ethan suggesting psychological tactics. Brianna volunteering to play the concerned sister. Richard coordinating their approach. They've been undermining your lease renewal behind the scenes. Eleanor adds. Brianna's contact at the city planning office has been helping delay permits for your expansion. I push back from the desk, moving toward the wall of windows where San Diego sprawls beneath me. Somewhere down there, my family is likely congratulating themselves on how they'll divide the spoils of what they think is a modest boutique. Show me mother's correspondence, I say. Eleanor retrieves a leather-bound portfolio from the safe. Inside are years of letters, cards, and legal directives from mother, all protected from family interference. I trace her handwriting with my fingertip. She kept my success secret because I asked her to. She protected your privacy fiercely, Eleanor agrees, even from your father. A memory surfaces mother in her hospital bed 2 weeks ago, her voice barely above a whisper as she clutched my hand. They never deserved to know, Katie. Never. I've spent a decade hiding my success, I say, more to myself than Eleanor. Now it becomes my shield. The realization settles in my chest. I'm no longer the daughter needing protection. I am the defender of mother's legacy. The boutique was never just a store, I say. It was a sanctuary from their toxicity. Eleanor nods. Revealing your identity as Kay. Morgan will change everything permanently. Then let's be clear about exactly what they're facing. I return to the desk. What does Richard need to avoid bankruptcy? Eleanor consults her notes. 1.3 million within 60 days to prevent foreclosure proceedings and maintain basic living expenses. And Ethan's timeline? Court date in 3 months. Without top representation, he's looking at a 5-year minimum sentence and permanent ban from the financial sector. Brianna? 1 month from eviction. Credit score below 500. She can't qualify for new housing without a co-signer or significant cash deposit. I study their photographs, not cartoon villains, but family members trapped by their own choices, clinging desperately to facades as their worlds crumble beneath them. Their fear makes them dangerous. I observe. They have nothing left to lose except appearances. Eleanor agrees. Richard has always positioned himself as the family patriarch despite his financial failures. Public image matters more to them than actual stability. 500. I stand. Decision made. What resources do we have available? Eleanor shifts into executive mode. KM Atelier's global resources are at your disposal. Legal team on standby. Media connections primed if necessary. Complete financial leverage. I reach for my phone, dialing Samuel Whitaker. After 2 rings, his measured voice answers. Samuel, it's Catherine Morgan. I need mother's estate documents immediately. All of them. While he confirms, I turn back to the dossiers of family financial disasters spread across my desk. Do we have everything we need? I ask Eleanor. Complete dossiers on their financial situations. Your mother's legal protections are ironclad. The boutique property is secured through 3 separate trusts. I nod, conviction hardening. Tomorrow we show them who I really am. Eleanor's expression shifts slightly. They'll try to take credit for your success once they know. A smile touches my lips for the first time since Mother's funeral. That's exactly what I'm counting on. Next morning, I arrive at the boutique 3 hours before my family is due to appear. The morning light streams through the windows, casting long shadows across the sales floor that Mother and I meticulously designed to appear modest yet tasteful. A space created to maintain the illusion of the struggling daughter. Samuel waits for me inside, leather portfolio tucked under his arm, his silver-framed glasses catching the sunlight. Catherine. He extends a manila envelope. Your mother's final arrangements, as you requested. My fingers tremble slightly as I open it. I scan the documents, then look up sharply. Mother left me everything? Not just the boutique? Samuel nods, his expression solemn. Complete control of the Morgan family estate. She amended her will last year when her diagnosis came through. You are the sole executor with full authority over all assets. I sink into the nearest chair, a vintage piece from the 1960 seconds that Mother loved. They don't know, do they? No. Your father believes the estate will be divided equally, with him maintaining control as family patriarch. Samuel removes more papers from his portfolio. Your investigator delivered this an hour ago. Your family met with Westlake developers this morning at 8. My stomach tightens. Before Mother is even cold in her grave. Samuel adjusts his glasses. They're moving quickly. The developer's proposal includes demolishing this building for a mixed-use complex. The paperwork was prepared weeks ago. I stand, smoothing the lines of my charcoal pencil skirt. They scheduled our meeting at Father's house. Home field advantage. A psychological tactic, Samuel confirms, common in high-stakes negotiations. I walk to the window, watching a young woman admire the display of hand-stitched scarves. She has no idea the woman who created them oversees production facilities on 3 continents. We're changing the location. I decide, turning back to Samuel. The meeting happens here, not at his house. A soft knock at the back door interrupts us. Eleanor enters, carrying a leather document case stamped with the KM Atelier logo. The Tokyo team confirmed the flagship opening next month, she says, placing the case on the counter. And I brought the Volante acquisition papers. Became official yesterday. I raise an eyebrow. The business news father never reads. Eleanor's lips curve upward. Biggest fashion acquisition of the quarter. $2 billion. And you're the majority stakeholder. Show them who K. Morgan really is, Samuel suggests, his usually neutral expression brightening with anticipation. I check my watch. 2 hours until they arrive. Eleanor, call the office. I want Javier and the design team working here when my family walks in. Eleanor nods, already typing on her phone. Full reveal? For the first time since Mother's funeral, I feel the corner of my mouth lift in what might be a smile. Every last detail. The boutique transformation happens with military precision. 40 minutes later, the modest storefront remains intact. But the back area, with its employees-only sign, now reveals its true nature, a glass door leading to 35,000 square feet of state-of-the-art design headquarters. I walk through the space, watching as my most talented designers arrange their workstations. Mannequins displaying pieces from next season's collection line the hallway. Awards and magazine covers featuring my work adorn walls that my family has never seen. Eleanor approaches, tablet in hand. They're here, earlier than expected. I straighten my shoulders. Perfect. Let them wait in the boutique for exactly 5 minutes. The surveillance monitor shows my family entering the front shop, their faces pinched with impatience. Brianna immediately touches the fabric of a display dress, her lips curling in poorly disguised contempt. Ethan checks his watch repeatedly while father stands in the center of the room, hands clasped behind his back like a general surveying conquered territory. They have no idea, Eleanor murmurs beside me. Time to educate them. I move toward the door, pausing with my hand on the handle. 10 years of hiding my success, of enduring their condescension, of protecting myself from their inevitable attempts to claim credit or demand money, all of it ends the moment I open this door. I push it open and walk into the boutique. Thank you for coming, I say, my voice steady. If you'll follow me, we can discuss Mother's estate in my actual office. Confusion flickers across their faces as I lead them past the employees-only sign and through the glass doors. The reaction is immediate, Brianna's sharp intake of breath, Ethan's faltering step, father's momentary freeze. Miss Morgan, the Paris team needs your approval on the fabric selections. A young designer calls, holding out a tablet as we pass. Thank you, Adrian. Tell them the cerulean option for the fall collection. I reply without breaking stride. Father's face darkens. What is this, Catherine? I lead them into my executive conference room, where floor-to-ceiling windows overlook the San Diego skyline. Documents are arranged precisely at each seat. This, I say, gesturing for them to sit, is KM Atelier's West Coast headquarters, one of 12 facilities worldwide. KM. Brianna stares at the logo on the wall, her perfectly manicured hand covering her mouth. You're K. Morgan? I take my seat at the head of the table. I am. Ethan picks up the nearest document, his eyes widening as he scans the content. This says annual revenue of $2.4 billion. Continually what he was now. Correct. I fold my hands on the polished table surface. 52 stores worldwide, 7,200 employees. Correct. Father slams his palm on the table. This is absurd. You've been running a small boutique your mother left you. No, I reply calmly. I've been running a global fashion empire that I built myself. The boutique was just the public face I showed you. I press a button on a remote, and the wall screen illuminates with financial documents. I also know about your financial situations. All of them. Their faces drain of color as they recognize their own names on mortgage foreclosure notices, SEC investigation documents, credit reports. You've been lying to us for years. Brianna hisses, her voice vibrating with anger. I've been protecting myself, I correct her, from exactly this reaction. From your attempts to control, dismiss, or take credit for what I've built. The silence that follows is profound. For the first time in my adult life, my family has nothing to say. Eleanor enters with another leather portfolio. The Volante acquisition papers you asked for, Miss Morgan. Thank you, Eleanor. I accept the documents and slide them toward my family. The business news you missed yesterday. My company just acquired Volante for $2 billion. Father attempts to rally, straightening his shoulders. As your father, I should have been informed about all this. I could have guided you, provided connections. No, I interrupt, my voice firm but not unkind. You lost that right when you dismissed everything I built as mother's little hobby, when you called me the family disappointment at her funeral. Samuel enters with another set of documents. I've brought the estate paperwork as requested, Miss Morgan. Thank you, Samuel. I address my family again. Mother knew exactly what she was doing. She left me as executor of the entire Morgan estate, not just the boutique. Samuel nods. Your mother ensured this outcome with multiple witnesses and irrefutable documentation. Father's face flushes deep red. This is preposterous. I am the head of this family. I make the decisions about our legacy. Not anymore, I say quietly. I'm willing to help you all, but only on my terms. Brianna and Ethan exchange glances, the reality of their situation sinking in. Their financial salvation sits across the table, wearing a dress that costs more than their monthly expenses combined. As I look at their stunned faces, a question forms in my mind. Do I offer terms immediately, or let them process the truth first. The morning sun filters through the boardroom's glass walls, casting long rectangles of light across the polished mahogany table. 3 days have passed since I revealed my true identity to my family. The initial satisfaction of their shocked faces has faded, replaced by something colder and more calculated. We need to assess all potential responses, I say, studying the financial advisors seated around me. Their expressions reflect professional detachment, exactly what I need right now. Eleanor sits to my right, her silver-streaked hair pulled into a neat chignon, her tablet displaying our agenda. My legal team occupies the far end of the table, manila folders containing draft documents spread before them. This isn't about feelings anymore, I tell them, though part of me wonders if it ever truly was. I need comprehensive analysis, tax implications if I provide assistance, media management strategies, business reputation protection. My chief legal counsel slides 3 folders toward me. As requested, we've prepared conditional support documents for each family member. No. I open the first folder. Richard's tenancy agreement outlines terms for him to remain in a company-owned property significantly smaller than his current home but still comfortable for a man of 72. The second folder contains Ethan's legal representation contract, offering him top counsel but requiring full cooperation with the SEC investigation. Brianna's employment offer sits in the third folder, a sales trainee position at $18 per hour at our accessories subsidiary. No special treatment, standard performance evaluations. Eleanor studies my face. They'll see any help as weakness they can exploit. I close the folders with a decisive snap. That's why every dollar comes with accountability. The finance director raises concerns about inheritance tax implications. The PR team debates how to position these family contracts if news leaks to the industry press. I listen, asking pointed questions, analyzing angles I hadn't considered. The sunlight shifts across the table as morning becomes afternoon. My team works with the precision of a Swiss watch, each component functioning in perfect harmony. This is why KM Atelier dominates global markets, not just my designs, but the people I've carefully selected to execute our vision. Later, in my office, Eleanor brings coffee and a folder of documents detailing my family's activities since our confrontation. Your father has consulted with 3 competing attorneys about contesting your mother's will, she reports, setting the cup beside my computer. The firm in La Jolla is particularly aggressive with inheritance disputes. I nod, unsurprised. And Ethan? He's reached out to 4 business journalists, pitching a story about the Morgan fashion dynasty, suggesting a family legacy narrative. My fingers tighten around the coffee cup, attempting to rewrite history already. Eleanor continues with practiced efficiency. Brianna has been posting on social media, vague hints about a major family business announcement coming soon. I turn to the window, gazing at San Diego's skyline. The horizon stretches beyond the harbor, vast and blue. Unlike my family's vision, which extends only as far as their next financial rescue, have our PR team prepare contingency statements for each scenario. I say. The K. Morgan brand remains separate from family drama. Eleanor makes a note. We've documented everything: calls, meetings, social media activity. If this escalates, we have a comprehensive record. I notice she's tracking my family's movements with the same precision she applies to our global operations. This isn't confrontational, just preparation for multiple scenarios. We review the documents until evening shadows lengthen across the office floor. The preparation feels thorough, methodical. I've spent a decade building my company with this level of attention to detail. My phone chimes with a notification. Eleanor glances at her tablet simultaneously, her brow furrowing. Fashion Week Insider just published a blog post, she says. They're suggesting K. Morgan is actually Richard Morgan's creation, with you as the public face. Something cold settles in my stomach. I pull up the article on my screen, scanning the text. The writer cites an anonymous industry source, claiming my father has been the creative force behind KM Atelier for years. Brianna's friend Melissa liked and shared it 10 minutes ago. Eleanor adds, showing me the social media activity. I push back from my desk, a surge of anger breaking through my carefully constructed calm. They've moved beyond targeting my inheritance to attacking my professional identity. My life's work. I expected financial manipulation, I say, my voice tight. But this is different. They're trying to take credit for everything I've built. Eleanor nods, understanding the escalation. They're more strategic than we anticipated. The stakes have risen beyond a simple inheritance dispute. Now my professional reputation, the empire I've spent a decade creating, is at risk. I stand. Decision made. They're not taking what I built. My voice sounds different, even to my own ears, resolute, unbending. Time for phase 2. 4 days later, I finalized the last details with my legal team. The conference room silent, except for the occasional turning of a page. The morning light streams through floor-to-ceiling windows, illuminating the San Diego skyline beyond. Each contract addresses their specific vulnerabilities. I explain, tapping the stack of documents. Father can remain in a smaller home as my tenant, provided he acknowledges publicly that I built this company alone. Eleanor studies the papers with practiced eyes. And Ethan? Gets the top SEC defense attorney, but only if he fully cooperates with the investigation and admits to his own actions rather than trying to deflect blame. The attorney nods approvingly. The terms are fair but firm, Miss Morgan. And Brianna? Eleanor asks. I slide forward the third contract. Sales trainee position at our Beverly Hills subsidiary. $18 an hour. Standard performance evaluations. No special treatment. Eleanor raises an eyebrow. She won't like starting at the bottom. She needs to understand what actual work looks like. I square the contracts into a neat pile. This isn't about punishment. It's about establishing reality. My mind shifts to strategy. We present these as non-negotiable. They can accept my terms or walk away with nothing. They'll see this as an attack, the attorney warns. It's a business negotiation, I reply, rolling my shoulders to release the tension. Not a family reconciliation. Eleanor's phone vibrates. She glances at the screen, her expression tightening. Catherine. Her voice carries an urgency I rarely hear. Your father has scheduled a press conference for tomorrow morning. What? The word escapes sharper than I intended. Eleanor turns her laptop toward me. Richard Morgan will announce the family behind K. Morgan at 9 tomorrow. I feel the blood draining from my face. A decade of careful work, my reputation, my independence threatened in minutes by a desperate old man. He can't prove anything, the attorney says quickly. It's just bluster. He doesn't need proof, I counter, standing abruptly. Just enough confusion to damage our brand and the Volante acquisition. My heart hammers against my ribs, but my voice remains steady. They're trying to force my hand. For a moment, the gravity of what I've built, what's at stake, threatens to overwhelm me. Then clarity cuts through the chaos like a perfectly placed seam. Move everything forward, I decide. Tonight, not tomorrow. Tonight? Eleanor looks surprised but doesn't question my judgment. They think they have time to prepare. I reach for my phone. Let's show them they don't. My fingers dial Samuel's number. Samuel, we need to move the meeting to tonight. 7 o'clock. I pause, listening. Yes, everything must be ready. They're planning to announce themselves as the faces behind K. Morgan tomorrow morning. Eleanor is already typing furiously, alerting our teams. The attorney gathers the contracts, making notes for last-minute adjustments. Will the board support accelerating this timeline? He asks. They already approved our strategy, I remind him. The timing doesn't change that. Outside the window, clouds gather over the harbor, the shifting weather mirroring the approaching storm in my professional life. For a decade, I've hidden in the shadow of their dismissal. Tonight, that ends. Eleanor finishes her calls and approaches with quiet determination. Security is confirmed for tonight. Legal will have the updated documents ready within the hour. PR team is standing by. I nod, feeling an unexpected calm settle over me. Richard always taught me that business requires perfect timing. I allow myself a small smile. Just not the lesson he intended. The team disperses, leaving Eleanor and me alone in the conference room. They won't see this coming, Eleanor says, her confidence unwavering. We're ready. I close my eyes briefly, thinking of my mother. The boutique wasn't just a store to her, it was a sanctuary from my father's constant belittling, a place where creativity trumped cruelty. It's time, I say, opening my eyes. Time to secure my mother's legacy. Eleanor squeezes my hand, the gesture brief but meaningful. And your own. The next hours blur into focused preparation, documents reprinted, security positioned, evidence organized. With each passing minute, I feel myself transform from the daughter they dismissed into the business leader I've always been. Tonight, they'll face not the Catherine they thought they knew, but Kay Morgan, CEO of a fashion empire built without their knowledge or support. Tonight, the family who never believed in me will discover exactly what I'm capable of. That evening, I grip the polished conference table as Thomas Vellante enters behind my father. The Italian designer's presence hits me like a physical blow. The founder of the luxury label I acquired just last week should be in Milan preparing for Fashion Week, not standing in my San Diego office beside my father. Catherine. My father's voice carries the same dismissive confidence he's wielded my entire life, despite the foreclosure notices piling up at his coastal estate. He gestures to Thomas as if introducing old friends. I believe you know Mr. Vellante. Eleanor steps closer to my chair, a subtle shift of alliance that doesn't escape my father's notice. Miss Morgan. Thomas Vellante's accent wraps around my name like expensive silk hiding a razor's edge. Or should I say, Kay Morgan? It seems we have much to discuss regarding the acquisition terms. My stomach tightens. Of all the contingencies we prepared for, this alliance wasn't among them. What's this about? I keep my voice level, though my pulse thunders in my ears. Brianna slides a leather portfolio across the gleaming table. Her smile reminds me of when she would hold my favorite dolls just out of reach as a child. The Vellante acquisition numbers. She taps manicured fingernails against the portfolio. Thomas has concerns about how they were represented. Ethan leans forward, his cologne overwhelming the subtle scent of the fresh lilies Eleanor placed in the office earlier. The board might be interested in how you've maintained two separate identities while running a publicly traded company. The pieces click into place. This isn't just about the boutique anymore. They've found the one pressure point I hadn't anticipated. Thomas opens the portfolio, revealing spreadsheets I recognize from our confidential negotiations. These projections for the Milan factory, they appear to have been manipulated. My father stands taller, triumph flashing across his face. We're giving you one chance, Catherine. Bring the family into company leadership. Board positions for Ethan and me, VP of Public Relations for Brianna. We're trying to protect you from yourself. Brianna's voice drips with theatrical concern, the same tone she used when telling Mother I wasn't cut out for design school. The shareholders deserve to know who's really behind the company. Thomas clears his throat. If these discrepancies become public, it could delay or even cancel our acquisition. The market doesn't respond well to uncertainty. Ethan straightens his tie, the picture of professionalism, despite the SEC investigation looming over him. The Securities and Exchange Commission might be interested in how you've kept your identity hidden all these years. For a single heartbeat, doubt whispers through me. They've escalated beyond anything I expected, beyond the boutique, beyond inheritance, straight to the heart of everything I've built. My phone vibrates once in my pocket. I slip it out just enough to see Eleanor's text. Contingency protocol? I give her the slightest nod and type back a single word. Activate. Eleanor leaves the room without a word, her footsteps fading down the hallway. The silence stretches as my family exchanges victorious glances. You understand what's at stake, my father says. Not a question, but a statement of fact. This isn't just about family anymore. This is your entire company, your reputation. I stand slowly, buying time. You've clearly put thought into this. Brianna smiles wider. We always knew you were hiding something, just not something this valuable. The conference room door opens before I can respond. Eleanor returns with Samuel Whitaker and two members of my legal team. They carry tablets and document folders, moving with practiced efficiency that speaks of preparation. Mr. Vellante. Samuel extends his hand with professional courtesy. A pleasure to see you again. Thomas frowns, confusion crossing his features. Again? Samuel places a document in front of him. Your signed acknowledgement of Catherine Morgan's identity as Kay Morgan, dated prior to acquisition negotiations, notarized and witnessed. Color drains from Thomas's face as he stares at his own signature. Eleanor connects her tablet to the room's display screen. Shall I play the recorded conversation from yesterday evening? The one where Mr. Morgan offered you 10% of his proposed board compensation in exchange for your support today? My father's posture stiffens. You've been recording us? Not you specifically, I reply, finding my voice strengthened by their shocked expressions. We record all calls related to acquisitions as standard practice. Thomas called our acquisition team yesterday. Standard protocol flagged certain keywords for review. The legal team distributes thick document packages to each family member. The weight of the folders seems to physically push Brianna back into her seat. These are your options, I explain, watching their expressions shift from triumph to uncertainty. Every scenario we anticipated, every potential attack, with appropriate responses documented. Eleanor taps her tablet, changing the display to show complex organizational charts. This is what happens if you contest the acquisition. This is what happens if you approach the SEC. This is what happens if you call a press conference. Samuel steps forward. And these are the terms Miss Morgan is prepared to offer, should you choose cooperation instead of confrontation. I watch understanding dawn across their faces, the realization that I've been planning for this moment as methodically as they have, but with vastly greater resources. You have 1 hour to decide, I tell them, gathering my notes and standing. My terms are nothing. I have an emergency board meeting to attend. You're leaving us here? Ethan's voice has lost its condescending edge. Eleanor will answer any questions you have. Samuel will confirm the legality of the documents. I pause at the door, turning back to face them. If you reject these terms, I am prepared to cut all ties permanently. Thomas Vellante approaches me, his expression resigned. The acquisition? Will proceed as planned, I assure him, provided there are no further complications. As I walk out, Eleanor's voice carries clearly. Miss Morgan won't negotiate further. Those terms are final. Samuel adds, these documents are binding once signed. I recommend you read them carefully. The boardroom door closes behind me, and for the first time since Mother's funeral, I take a full, deep breath. The stakes have never been higher, but neither has my resolve. Whatever they decide in the next hour will determine our relationship permanently. I straighten my shoulders and walk toward the waiting board members. By the time I return, I'll know whether I still have a family. 10 minutes later, I return to the executive floor, my heels striking a steady rhythm against the polished marble. The sound announces my presence before I round the corner into the conference room where my family waits with the contracts. They fall silent when I enter. Richard stands at the window, silhouetted against the San Diego skyline, his shoulders rigid with the pride that's defined him for decades. Brianna perches on the edge of a leather chair, phone clutched in her manicured hands. Ethan paces near the door, his usual smirk replaced by a tightness around his eyes that betrays his fear. Behind me, board members and key employees file in quietly, positioning themselves along the wall. This confrontation will have witnesses, professionals, who have respected me for years while my family dismissed me for just as long. Have you reached a decision? I ask, placing my hands flat on the polished table. This is ridiculous, Catherine. Richard turns from the window, his voice carrying the authoritative tone he's wielded my entire life. These terms are insulting. I built this family. I gave you everything. Everything? My laugh comes out sharper than I intended. You gave me criticism, doubt, and dismissal. Mother gave me belief. Richard's face hardens. Your mother would want you to forgive family. She valued loyalty above all. The words land like a physical blow, invoking Mother's memory as his final manipulation. For a moment, the old guilt rises in my chest. The practiced response of a lifetime to acquiesce, to keep peace flutters at the edges of my resolve. Then I remember the letters. Mother knew exactly who you were. I opened the leather portfolio. Eleanor handed me moments before I entered. That's why she protected me from you. I remove a stack of letters bound with faded blue ribbon. Mother's handwriting flows across the aged paper in elegant cursive. I place them on the table and slide them toward Richard. Mother, attempt to undermine my business. Every conversation where you planned to rescue me from my little hobby once she was gone. Ethan stops pacing. You're bluffing. Page 16. I don't take my eyes off Richard. The night you suggested selling my boutique space to cover your SEC legal fees. Brianna rushes to grab the letters, but Eleanor steps forward and places a thick folder on the table. Miss Morgan asked me to keep records as well. Eleanor says, her voice carrying the quiet authority of someone who has witnessed decades of family manipulation. Every phone call where you disparaged Catherine's abilities. Every attempt to contact her landlord about breaking her lease. Richard's face flushes red. This is a business meeting, not a therapy session. Your emotional grievances aren't relevant to... They're entirely relevant, says Thomas Vellante, stepping into the room. My heart stutters. Thomas's presence was Richard's trump card, the founder of the luxury label I just acquired. the man my father tried to manipulate into threatening my company's stability. Richard's expression shifts from anger to smug satisfaction. Thomas understands what's at stake here. I certainly do. Thomas nods to me before facing my family. That's why I need to clarify something. Yesterday, Richard offered me a substantial kickback if I threatened to pull out of our acquisition agreement. The room falls silent. Even the board members shift uncomfortably. That's absurd, Richard sputters. I was protecting family interests. By attempting to sabotage mine, I say, just as you've always done. I turn to address each false narrative they've constructed. To Ethan, I reveal the SEC documents showing his attempts to deflect blame onto junior associates. To Brianna, I present the social media strategy she'd drafted announcing herself as the creative force behind K. Morgan. To Richard, I display the real estate developer's proposal for my boutique property, dated 3 weeks before Mother's death. The board chairman clears his throat. Speaking for everyone present, Miss Morgan built this company without family assistance. We've witnessed her work ethic, vision, and integrity firsthand. Richard's expression darkens. This is a family matter. No, I correct him. This is a business decision, and the business belongs to me. I slide 3 folders across the table, one to each family member. Sign the contracts now, or leave with nothing. The atmosphere shifts. The temporary victory of my revelation at the boutique pales compared to this moment. This isn't temporary. This is permanent. Ethan breaks first. Always the pragmatist, he recognizes defeat when he sees it. He flips through the contract, jaw tightening at the clause requiring his full cooperation with the SEC investigation in exchange for legal representation. This legal team will cost a fortune, he mutters, reaching for a pen. Yes, it will. I agree. My fortune. Richard watches his son sign with disbelief etched into every line of his face. His control, the cornerstone of his identity, crumbles visibly. For 72 years, he's navigated life through intimidation and authority. Now, in a room full of witnesses, that power dissolves. Brianna stares at me, tears welling in her eyes. You really don't need us, do you? The question carries the weight of a lifetime of assumptions that I was the weak one, the disappointing one, the one who needed rescue. I never did. I tell her honestly. But I'm offering you a chance anyway. Her hand trembles as she takes the pen. The contract before her outlines her position as a sales trainee, $18 per hour, standard evaluation metrics, no special treatment. It's more than fair, given her complete lack of relevant experience. It's also more than she deserves, given her years of mockery. Richard remains standing, pride battling with financial reality. The foreclosure notices on his coastal properties leave him little choice, but admitting defeat comes harder to him than to his children. This is how you honor your mother? By humiliating your father? His voice breaks on the final word. Mother left you a choice in her will. I remind him. Live in the 3-bedroom rental property I'm offering, or find your own housing. Those same options remain on the table. The board stands united behind me. Eleanor and Samuel flank me like sentinels. For the first time in my life, I am not the outnumbered one in family confrontations. Richard's hand shakes as he finally reaches for the pen. The signature he scrawls bears little resemblance to his once confident penmanship. The man who dismissed me as a disappointment at Mother's funeral now accepts my terms just to keep a roof over his head. One by one, they sign. 3 signatures. 3 acknowledgments that Catherine Morgan built her empire herself. 3 admissions that the family narrative was wrong. The weight that's pressed against my chest for a decade begins to lift. This isn't the reconciliation some might have hoped for, but it's the resolution I needed. I'll have copies sent to your respective addresses, Samuel says, collecting the signed contracts. Is that all? Richard asks, his voice hollow. That's all, I confirm. The terms are clear. Richard, you'll have access to the rental property starting tomorrow. Ethan, the legal team will contact you Monday. Brianna, orientation begins next week. They stand to leave, diminished in ways that have nothing to do with their financial circumstances. Their facades have crumbled, revealing the truth I've always known but never acknowledged. Their power over me existed only because I allowed it. As they file out, Eleanor steps to my side. Your mother would be so proud of your strength. I watch my family, my blood relations walk away. They're not defeated enemies. They're simply people who must now face the consequences of their choices. This isn't revenge, I say quietly. It's boundaries. The distinction matters. Revenge seeks to hurt. Boundaries seek to protect. I've spent too long hiding my success, believing protection required secrecy. Now I understand that true protection comes from standing firmly in my truth. The conference room empties until only Eleanor and I remain. The signed contracts represent not just a business agreement but a personal declaration. I am Catherine Morgan, founder and CEO of KM Atelier, daughter of Martha Morgan. I built an empire while they weren't looking, and now they'll live within its boundaries. The sun sets over San Diego Bay, painting the sky in brilliant oranges and pinks. Mother loved this time of day, the transition between worlds, she called it. Standing in my power at last. I understand what she meant. The New York Times headline stares back at me from my tablet. Fashion's best-kept secret, Catherine Morgan revealed as K. Morgan. 6 weeks since Mother's funeral, 3 since the revelation that shattered my family's illusions. The article details my journey from design school graduate to global fashion empire builder, all while maintaining the facade of running a struggling boutique. The nurse says, sliding a sales report across my desk. Web traffic up 45% since the article broke. Instagram followers doubled overnight. I nod, still processing this new reality, where I'm seen truly seen, after a decade of shadows. Any word from Richard? Your father's settled into the Coronado condo. Donated most of his furniture to that veterans housing project. Eleanor's expression softens. He called yesterday, actually. Asked if you'd mind if he volunteered at that retirement community's design program. This surprises me. The one teaching seniors to make their own clothing modifications? The very same. Eleanor checks her notes. Ethan's attorney confirmed the crypto transfer $1.8 million toward the designer restitution fund. Apparently he's been keeping quite detailed records of everyone he's financially inconvenienced over the years. I turn to the window, watching sailboats cut through San Diego Bay. And Brianna? Completed her first week of sales training, argued with her supervisor twice, then shocked everyone by staying late to reorganize the accessory display. Her manager says she has an unexpected talent for customer relations. 10 years of hiding, of building walls between my success and my family, dissolved in a single afternoon. Now we're navigating something entirely new, a relationship based on truth rather than illusion. The foundation paperwork is ready for your signature. Eleanor places the folder before me. The Morgan Fund for Emerging Designers. I sign without hesitation. This feels right, redirecting the media attention towards something beyond family drama. Transforming revelation into opportunity for others. I spent a decade hiding, I tell Eleanor, capping my pen. Now I'm seen. But this isn't about me anymore. 6 months later, I stand center stage at the International Design Awards, wearing Mother's vintage dress I've redesigned with subtle contemporary elements. The spotlights no longer make me flinch. It is my honor to present this year's Breakthrough Designer Award, I say into the microphone, my voice carrying confidently through the packed ballroom. The contrast with the trembling woman at Mother's grave couldn't be more stark. That day in the cemetery, I'd clutched a single white rose, while family dismissed everything I'd built. Tonight, I command attention from an industry that respects what I've created. Richard sits at a table near the stage, wearing a suit that fits his new, leaner frame. He nods slightly when our eyes meet. No longer the towering figure demanding compliance, he's found unexpected purpose, teaching retired craftspeople to adapt clothing for mobility challenges. Ethan sits beside him, reviewing notes for tomorrow's mentoring session, with young designers on contract negotiation, his legal expertise redirected toward protection, rather than exploitation. And there's Brianna, in a dress from our affordable line she helped develop, speaking animatedly with buyers. Her natural talent for connecting with people has earned her a genuine promotion to regional sales director, not through nepotism but achievement. The Volante integration exceeds all projections, Eleanor whispers as I return to our table after presenting the award. And the educational initiative launches next month. I squeeze her hand in silent gratitude. Eleanor, the one constant through all of this transformation. When Mother's design journals were published last month with my introduction, I finally understood why she kept my secret all those years. Not to hide my light, but to ensure it couldn't be claimed by those who hadn't earned it. Sunday evening finds us gathered around the table in my penthouse. The same configuration of family members as countless dinners before, yet everything has changed. The quarterly numbers look promising, I say, passing the serving dish to Richard, though I'm more excited about the Morgan Recovery Grant results. 3 designers pulled back from bankruptcy already, Eleanor adds. She's taken on directing the foundation with characteristic efficiency. We're carrying your mother's legacy of nurturing talent. Richard serves himself a modest portion, a man still learning new patterns. I've been thinking about Martha's first sewing machine, he says. The singer with the gold detailing. It should be displayed somewhere people can appreciate its significance. We've reserved space in the company museum, I tell him, along with her original sketches. Brianna leans forward. Speaking of the foundation, I had an idea about a scholarship program for the design school, maybe in Mother's name. I've been working with some of the current students, and their financial struggles are significant. The Brianna of a year ago would have considered such students beneath notice. Now she sees them as worthy of support. The transformation isn't perfect. We all carry our histories, but it's genuine. Ethan discusses legal protections for young designers, his knowledge now a shield rather than a weapon. For the first time, I recognize my brother's intelligence without the shadow of manipulation. As dinner concludes, I stand at the window overlooking the lights of San Diego, the same city where we buried Mother nearly a year ago. The family that gathered then bears little resemblance to the people sitting in my living room now. Success isn't what you own or control, I say, turning back to them. It's the integrity you maintain while building it. Eleanor raises her glass slightly, and the people you help along the way. I touch the locket containing a thread from Mother's first sewing project. The greatest legacy isn't what we build, but how we help others build their own dreams. Mother understood that. Now, finally, so do I. And so, remarkably,